Hello?
Hey there, welcome to Vibe Osmosis. How you doing?
Am I, am I on Vibe Osmosis?
You're on Vibe Osmosis right now.
I'm doing great. I got a apple here. I mean an apple.
Alright, so first off, this time I'm gonna switch some things off. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Thomas, but I go by the, I guess, alias RatLips on Instagram. I make like 3D art, mixed media art, done some album covers, done some like personal stuff. I guess that's the gist of it. I do stuff with Floor Jazz Records with Smith Math and the Salesman. I do some like promotional art and like album stuff with them too.
That's right, some really groovy stuff. That's one way to introduce yourself. Now, what is your astrological sign?
I'm not really big on astrology. I'm an Aries, though.
So why don't you peek into the Aries side? You don't feel like you're feeling it, feeling the waves?
I don't. I don't really know what the Aries vibe is. I think, as far as I understand, it's like kind of like hard headed. Maybe like a Aries is like an alpha sort of thing, like a super like big dog sign. Is that a fair assessment?
In my point of view, I always say Scorpio is the power dog, but
That's the
continue.
big dog of Scorpio. I have not read up on this. I'm just going off of public perception that I've seen.
Well, I haven't came across any Aries I like was like, oh, I fucking want to kill that guy or whatever.
I always assumed it
Uh,
was like the asshole sign.
no, I feel like those are
Maybe the dickhead
Scorpio.
one. That's a Scorpio.
Alright, so I was gonna ask you, you have a favorite movie?
Um, that's a tough one. Maybe I don't know. I really like I guess I'll give you three. I really like End of Evangelion. I think that's like one of the best like animated movies like ever made. I really like Spring Breakers, that Harmony Korine movie, and Suspiria is really good. The like original one.
Oh, without a doubt, those are some top dog selections right there.
Yeah, and Freddy
Now,
got fingered.
did you have like a favorite director? Like, is that something that you kind of get into?
I'm not really. I don't consider myself like a film buff or anything. Like I feel like I watch like at most like one or two movies a month. Uh, but I really like Harmony Korine a lot.
That's a good
He's
choice.
kind of that's kind of like a I don't know. That might be like a pretentious uh choice. I feel like he's kind of polarizing.
Did you have a favorite caller?
A favorite album is that what you said?
Favorite caller?
A favorite color?
Yeah.
I like shades of red. I think like red, pink, like and everything like kind of in between that. I suppose.
I
I like
guess,
yellow a lot. I feel like yellow's kind of a overhated color.
but at the same time, you can't ignore the primaries, and to me, like
You
they're
can't
they're
ignore the
they're the ones.
primaries.
I'm like I know they always look good in backgrounds and like
You
actual
gotta have you gotta have your
scenes.
base colors to mix.
Yeah. Um,
Exactly.
to bring back up your comment about the favorite albums, we have
Uh-huh.
Tommy's top 10 of 2022
Oh,
on a mega shout
yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Some of
Spirit Navigator's on the top 10 of
Spirit
2022.
Navigators is up there. I wanted
It's somewhere on there.
I wanted to bring up some of the music selections that you have up there.
For sure.
I definitely respect your list, and I know a lot of the bands on it. I wondered
Hmm.
where did some of these bands kind of come up to you on your list, and like how that came to be for you.
Yeah, I honestly hold up. I think I gotta pull up my list again just to get a rep. But these things I do them and they leave my brain. Uh,
I was like, good thing that the Mucoid and the Danger Mouse and stuff was on there. I was like, oh, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, you're amongst greats on there. You're amongst greats. Yeah,
Yes,
so I
yes.
had I guess going through, I had the Wise Blood at number one.
Yeah, it's a
That
great
album, I don't know,
album.
that was just one of the albums from this year. Like just like the first second I heard it, I was
Shout
just like, oh,
out,
I'm
Rusty
gonna like this.
Santos on helping out with the mix on some of that, I guess.
Shout out Rusty Santos.
Yeah, but
But yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
I
I
heard that
really like
record.
that
It's
sort
good.
of sound. Yeah, I like it. Kind of reminded me of like Joni Mitchell's stuff. I'm a big Joni Mitchell fan. I got Blade, Neko 2K on there. I thought that was really cool. I just a big I guess Drain Gang fan, but I thought that was kind of just a really good like sort of trancey electronic pop album that I thought was really cool. And of course, I got to have the Spirit Navigators and the Bucoid on there. That's the shout outs, but those are genuine picks.
I appreciate it on that. I was wondering, so how did exactly did you get into doing album covers and such? Like, who do you have like an idea about like if you wanted to do an album cover before you really got into it or started?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I mean, I guess yeah, I mean I've always been big into music, I guess. So I always kind of wanted to do like promotional music art and like album covers and stuff. I didn't really have that avenue. I didn't have those connections or whatever back when I don't know. I feel like my Instagram page has grown exponentially just over the past like 2 years, maybe even 1 year. But I mean, the first like year and a half that I had my Instagram account, I probably only had like 15 followers. And then over like the past 2 years, I've gained. I'm at 611 right now. Not to go to the numbers game, but
It's good.
that opens up things for you. But yeah, also just knowing Fred and getting connections through Fred. I guess previously on here, before I even was getting like album cover commissions, I did that like Dinosaur Junior one, just because I don't know, I wanted to make an album cover. I wanted to do like a kind of like an exercise in making an album cover, and I just picked an album I really like. So I guess even if people didn't give me opportunities to do album covers for them, I probably would still be making them regardless if people asked me to or not.
Yeah, you see, that's what I wondered, like if it's still in it because of the soul, or if it's like, oh, like this record,
I mean, yeah,
you know.
it's everything I do on my page is a passion project. It's not for any sort of I guess monetary gain or clout or anything.
I guess to some extent, the music of the artist help some of the like inspiration, I guess, or influence behind some of the artwork. But do you care to
Yeah, 100%, especially with the Spirit Navigators cover.
kind of develop a bit about how you form up, I guess, the weird images that we see?
It's kind of the creation process.
Yeah, to some extent. You don't have to give away all your magic, but I guess like
Yeah,
some of like how like,
good
oh, I
wing
got
it.
this idea on the shape, or like how you come up with like the little figures and the scenes or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's no secret formula. I personally believe in sharing uh, the tools so that people can make better things. I think there should be more better art in the world, and if you keep your secrets away, then you're not going to get that. Um, but as far as I don't know, I feel like I have like a pretty like I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right word. I guess like spur of the moment, very like unplanned. I don't do a ton of planning. I went to design school, and you kind of learn if you go to design school, like the proper whatever way of going about it, the mood boarding phase, the sketching, then going into the final drafts and making different versions and narrowing it down. It's really, you know, mining away at it till you get something that may be useful. Uh, Typically, I try to get to the like final, like making the actual art phase as quick as possible. If you looked at my sketches, which I don't really show my sketches on my work at all because they're absolutely like horrible. My sketches just literally look uh, like just something that was done by like a crazy person in like 2 seconds, and I typically do them like as quick as possible just because I hate like just grinding away at this thing that isn't going to be really seen as just kind of a like a skeleton of what the final thing is going to be. So my sketches for my stuff is there are typically just like super like just like blocked out shapes that don't really if you don't know what they're supposed to be, there's no telling what it really is, but I know what it is, so that's all that really matters. Um,
I can
yeah, and then
totally
as
relate
far as
with you on that as far as like are the artistic process, even like with making music, you can kind of find ways to use instruments that you would maybe think is something completely different than what you're hearing. Kind of I feel
yeah,
like there's a way of blending in I guess like different aspects or messages in your artwork as well. Something I
yeah, and I
really
mean,
appreciated about what you did for the mucoid, like the UFO thing, and the whole
yeah,
follow ups
I
from
didn't do
that
the
too.
UFO cover. That was someone else, but I did the house music cover.
Yeah, that one's
Yes,
really
they're
trippy.
kind of similar. They're both 3D
They
art.
are
So.
3D. I was also wanting to
Shout
bring
out
up.
to Emerson for the UFO cover. By the way, I love that cover.
Yeah, solid. I wondered about the AI stuff. Like, how long have you kind of been interested in creating your own kind of AI style art in a way? I guess is a way to put
Right.
it. Yeah.
With the AI art, I don't honestly like. I think AI art is cool. I don't necessarily see myself as like a big like AI art guy. Like there are definitely people that I see like in like the Instagram art community or whatever, just online or whatever, that are like super big like AI art guys where like everything they do is influenced by AI art or is AI art.
Yeah.
Um I mean I use it. I've used it before. I think it's a cool tool. I know that it's a pretty controversial um thing right now. I see a lot of pushback um for AI art from people that I follow on Instagram, uh, which is valid, I suppose. I personally don't care. I think and I don't mean any disrespect by this, but I personally think if you're making art that is like creative and inspired, AI art isn't really shouldn't really be a threat to you. It shouldn't be like something you're really worried about. I think
I
it's
agree
kind
with you
of
on this one.
yeah. I was talking to my friend recently, and he put it uh in a pretty good way. He said it's kind of like worrying and pushing back on AI art is kind of like trying to put like toothpaste back into a tube. It's like we already have it, so it's kind of like a situation where you either adapt and possibly use it, or you just kind of like complain about it, I guess.
Yeah, it does go kind of go both ways, and I feel like the really great thing to bring up with AI is the user interface is variation of all kinds of ways that you can make it, all ways that you can form it. You can type in different stuff, or you can
Mhm.
actually go ahead and get your hands dirty and then have that change and more for take a picture of something real and have that change and more for giving an idea
Yeah,
for videos and then that getting changed. So it's like
yeah.
in a way it's an adapting thing towards where like we've seen the shift with the iPhones and then like the
Hmm.
streaming wars. It's like a shift of
Right.
like all the different ways that you can possibly have this art form.
Yeah,
And
that's a good way to put it.
yeah, like it's like trying to find a way to get a niche, just like gaming systems being in needing the Game Pass. Every single system needed a Game Pass to just keep on playing
Right.
all the games. In a way, I feel like AI is trying to find a way towards where, oh, here's this one platform where you can have like all of like your NFTs set up in a way. And I feel like that's kind of like a platform that's being built already in a way. Whenever we have stuff done through Coinbase and pulling up
Right.
a crypto art,
Hmm.
and
And
collecting
that's
it.
another thing that people, push back on quite a bit is the NFT stuff.
Yeah, like there's still the wave of it, and now I feel like it's also like overly populated to everybody being and the accessibility of it. I guess now, if you're actually, I don't know, using the internet or using your phone, if that's something like
Yeah.
if that's like in the niche of you, um,
I mean, I feel like it's, just like literally anything, it's just another evolution of the art and of technology. Uh, and, you can imagine there were similar complaints from people, like traditional artists when things like Photoshop came around and like
for
digital
a
computer
fact,
art.
for a fact,
Even though, it is kind of not sorry, one to one. Uh, because I mean, there is like you do have to manually do everything in Photoshop. But I do find that the better AI art is the stuff where you kind of work at it a little more and maybe you
exactly.
you feed it more like tailored stuff, or you do the outpainting stuff where you kind of are building it out. I don't think the best AI art is someone typing in like Mario smoking weed and then just calling it a day.
Yeah, I feel like like I've been a little guilty of both, of like getting the best of both worlds. Like either just like if I'm going to keep it simple, oh, I'm like, okay, I can just run that through a filter and give it some cool trippy sound effects, and that will be that its own thing. Or I'll try to turn that into a GIF or GIF, and ride that out. I was wondering, have you ever been interested, or have you ever done a music video, or are you interested in doing music videos?
I have never done a music video. I don't really do a lot of video work. It is something that I do definitely want to, I mean, learn. The thing is, I feel like I kind of, and I imagine a lot of probably artists deal with this, just wanting to be able to do like everything. But you only have so much time to really focus on each thing that you're trying to learn. So, I mean, I
Yes.
guess right now, and I guess for a while, I've just been trying to go hard on the 3D stuff and try to get better at 3D. But I feel like, yeah, eventually there'll reach a point where maybe I'm more content with the stuff that I'm doing with 3D, and then I'm gonna want to learn, uh, like I don't know, like motion graphics or video editing and stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, because that does kind of seem like the next level, I suppose, of making visual art.
I want to share a story with you real quick.
Yeah.
So, whenever I was in Chicago, I came across this guy who I guess will be named as Trustee. And Trusty met this other guy out on the street, in his travels in his younger days, who had just a bunch of artwork, and like his artwork was, he basically had his entire portfolio on him. And
Yeah.
this artwork dated all the way back from the 90s to the 2000s, all the way up to like that present day in that point in time. And the guy, I guess he was low on cash, needed money. He basically sold all of his artwork, his entire portraits of just alien faces, alien portraits. They were only
Yeah.
pictures of a guy that was an alien, and it was just like his body, and it was like hundreds of photos.
Were they
Trusty.
good?
Oh yes, they were great. They were very
They're
cool. Like,
amazing.
oh, they were. I love this collection.
I can imagine.
Trusty
I mean,
bought
if you
this.
draw that many pictures of aliens, you gotta like get good at it at some point.
Yeah, he got really good at it. And so what Trusty did, he put all of these pictures that were like in notebook pads and sketch pads. Some of them were done like pastel. He put them all up and like actually framed them and put them up in his wall in his house. And he has like a section, that's his little section of his house where he has
Hmm.
like his own collection of like what he came across of. And like in our day and age where we have all this stuff up on Instagram or like your Flickr or whatever you're using to, or your Tumblr to collect all of your artwork, it's like in this day and age, it's like once that person finds you, they are kind of collecting every single thing that they can possibly have in some form of way. It's like either their
Hmm.
eye data, they're keeping tabs on you, or like they find you, they discover you, they love you, they're like going to circle back around. Um, I was wondering, was there an artist that like stuck out for you where you're like, okay, like that's what I really loved, and like I'm gonna try and like get more aspiration to do that
Hmm.
myself?
As far as inspirations,
Yeah, like did you ever just come across that one person where you're like, oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, there are definitely. I'm like super bad at remembering. Uh, I guess anything, but especially names. Uh, so I feel like I get my inspirations less so from like high art and like design, the idea of just like the artist and this is their, super well regarded art or whatever. I feel like I kind of get more inspiration from like honestly mainly things like video games. That's like a big inspiration is like different video games that I really like the art of. Um and that I feel like that probably comes with doing 3D art, considering that most of the 3D art out there is typically for video games. Um, but yeah, I really like someone I really like. I really like Rodney Greenblatt. He did the art for PaRappa the Rapper, and he also did some like point and click games back in the '90s. His stuff's like really his stuff's actually 2D, but he does a lot of sort of simple like primary color sort of drawings. It's very simple, very kind of childlike, but he has this like look where you just look at it and you just know uh, that he made it. But I was also as like far as video games that inspire me, I really like the art of like Katamari, uh, Psychonauts. I like the like character designs of Psychonauts. PaRappa the Rapper is one, and I also I find myself more so going back to like PaRappa. Yeah, it's an amazing game. But yeah, I find myself also going back to like old like point and click games, like edutainment games, like educational like point and click games for kids. I feel like that stuff just kind of has like an interesting like sort of texture and I guess like vibe to it that was born out of the limitations of computers back in that day.
I bring up something, Activision, who's trying to merge in with this crazy gaming merger that's happening right now in the world, trying to get the monopoly of the games with Microsoft or whatever. They worked with the entire.
Is Activision trying to merge with Microsoft?
Oh yeah, but they
I didn't know
created
about that.
the flight simulator game, and I remember growing up whenever
Mm-hmm.
I had like the Nintendo 64, and they had like a knockoff version of like the flight simulator.
Are you talking
That
about
was that
Pilot
was one of
Wings?
those ones. But
Are you
yeah,
talking about Pilot Wings for the N64?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's like Nintendo's kind of version of that.
It's one of those ones for me where I don't know, growing up, like the soundtrack stuck with me. I remember also like, getting into like the Street Fighter soundtrack, and like, oh, like later
Yeah.
on, like looking up that artist about who did the synths and who did like this crazy ass
Mhm.
beat shit. Because I was like insane with
Yeah,
the
I mean,
eight bit sound for a while.
there's a
So
lot to a lot of good art to find in video games that maybe is not probably more so now than previously. Uh, but stuff that isn't held in the same regard as like to go to an extreme, someone like Andy Warhol or like someone like that. Even if it is like arguably just as inspired.
his praise, Andy Warhol is praised by his NFT. Which
Or like
in a
that.
lot of ways,
Did you ever see that Andy Warhol thing? It was like I don't remember who did it. It was like some streetwear brand or something. But they had like a original Andy Warhol drawing, and they were almost like raffling it off. They were doing a thing where they had a robot that was physically recreating the drawing with marker or
oh,
whatever.
I
So it
do
was
remember
drawing.
this era.
Yeah, yeah. And it was like you didn't really know if you got an original one or not, but they were like selling them or whatever. I don't know. That was kind of interesting. Just being on the topic of Andy Warhol.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he gets a lot of shit from all sides, and then still somewhat the guy that's like the goat of viewers. Uh,
Yeah,
how
that's
did you feel about growing up and like finding out about Andy Warhol?
um I don't know that Andy Warhol is a super is like a pillar for me or whatever. Um like he's cool. I mean I like his screen printing stuff. But I like the way he kind of I don't know, deconstructed art during that time. Maybe made you rethink uh
What is
like
art?
what could be considered fine art, I guess. I think doing that's cool. I think blurring the lines between what is high art and what is not high art and what is even art at all uh, is cool.
I'll bring up an example
But I don't
for
have a whole lot of Andy Warhol stuff.
me with exposure to Andy Warhol young. It was whenever have you watched the movie Factory Girl?
I have not. No, is that that's that Andy Warhol movie?
It is Andy Warhol, and I want to say Guy Pearce plays Andy Warhol in it.
Okay.
Whenever that movie came out, I seen it and I was like, a kid, and I was like really like mind blown about the whole idea about getting a warehouse together, getting random people together just to like film and like get stuff out
Hmm.
there. Um,
Yeah.
and like it's something that I feel like whenever that exposure to me young, it still like resonated with me until like as I got older and like in high school and got to like actually learn about who Andy Warhol is and was. I know kind of took that step back and was like, okay, like I can also like do this myself in a way. If I'm inspired by this, then like obviously I could take from this and like learn from his message. Um, did you ever have like that artist younger for you that kind of showed you like you could do it yourself?
Hmm. I don't know if I can trace it back to a specific artist or anything. Uh, but I think being uh the age that I am and being on the internet a lot as a kid, I think that all of that would have just been like people that I saw on the internet making art, whether it be they're making cartoons or making visual art or like whatever. Um, yeah, so I mean I guess the biggest inspiration there was just like the internet in general and the culture around making art on the internet.
Good point. I don't think for the record of Vibe Osmosis, your host DJ Spirit Navigator currently is an old guy at 26. So how old are you?
I am 24.
All right, so 24. Do you have a recollection of a show growing up that like you obviously watched every time it came on?
Oh man, there was a lot of stuff like that. I really liked the Misadventures of Flapjack. I feel like that um is
Great,
one of the
great
things that
story.
could maybe be traced back to my love for doing like mixed media sort of stuff. There's another show called it was like an educational show for like really little kids, but I watched it because it just looked so cool. It was a show called Crashbox on HBO. I don't know if you've ever seen that before.
Definitely,
You've
definitely.
seen that before. That like it's like stop motion and there's like some 2D stuff. It's like super like high effort inspired uh for being, I feel like a lot of entertainment made for really small kids is like that, where
Yes,
it's
for
actually like
sure.
really, really cool visually. Uh, but it, maybe gets like brushed aside because it's meant for people with like really small brains.
I guess I want to say I'm in that niche. Like I feel like I'm in the close up of like advertisement for a bad Adult Swim show. But that's my own take. I was wondering,
You
did
think
you ever
that's
have
what
a
vibe you're
show
going for?
on Adult Swim that you always were like, oh, that one's really funny or really good?
I really liked I like a lot of Adult Swim stuff. I watched a lot of Adult Swim. I really liked whole movies is really funny to me. I like the like improvised dialogue or whatever of that show. I like Space Ghost. That also kind of has like an improvised sort of vibe.
Coast to
Uh,
coast.
Sea Lab's cool. Sea
Yeah.
Lab's cool. Aqua Teen Hunger Force is another really good one. But
I
yeah,
recently watched the new
all of
Aqua
that
Teen.
early stuff. What'd you say?
I recently watched the new Aqua Teen movie. That shit was really funny. Phantasm knockoff deal. Have you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Aqua Teen, they never really
they never really
fell
quit.
off, I think. Like you can watch like a episode like 500 and whatever they got to, and it's still pretty funny. So
Yeah. Um. So like for bringing up like random stuff on like TV show wise, I remember on Nickelodeon once upon a time had the show called Kablam.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Kablam.
yeah. So like one of those times, I remember like being up really late and seeing like this claymation style one where they were like these wrestlers and toys having to actually do
Yeah,
like fucked up shit. I
I
remember,
forget what that was. It was like a superhero thing. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm glad you brought up Kablam. That was one of the ones there. I feel like there were a couple shows as a kid where it was like because they didn't play them a lot on TV, they felt like, like rare shows in my mind. And it was like, oh,
yes,
if I can figure out a way to watch this show, I got to do it at any time that it's on.
yeah,
And Kablam was definitely one of those where it felt like this like rare show because they like only played it on, I don't know, like Nicktoons or whatever by the time, uh, I guess I caught on to it. But yeah, that is one that probably low key inspired me too, because that is another sort of mixed media, uh, show.
before I was really like dead set on playing music, like taking lessons and stuff. Was like really big on playing video games, and I would definitely remember playing this game where you were like the Disneyland characters and you were skateboarding. I can't.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, like I remember the soundtrack on that was like very all over the place. Like some of it was like techno-y, poppy, some of it was like the music that was playing on the radio at that time, and then some of it was like random alternative rock stuff. So they try to give you
Yeah,
a best of both worlds in this like knocked off, like I don't even know how you would describe that game.
yeah. And that Disney skateboarding game, I believe if I'm correct, that was actually made by Neversoft, the people that made Tony Hawk.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely
So
was.
that's a legit ass skateboard game.
Yeah, I guess that's why the soundtrack was like on point
Yeah.
for
The
what it
Tony Hawk
was.
soundtrack too. That was definitely like um the first time as a kid that I was really hearing like punk rock music. So that was definitely the first exposure to that. So shout out to Tony Hawk for that.
I wanted to bring up and like your actual art that you do,
Mhm.
the stuff that you don't share, like your own sketch pads, your own drawings and stuff. Did you ever have like an idea for your own kind of show or like any kind of other project?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, in my mind, I mean, a show would be like, there's a lot of things for me that kind of in my mind are like that's like the final boss. Like once I'm able to make that, that's going to be like the highest point that I can reach. So I feel like, yeah, like a show or a series, like a video series, that's up there. Making a video game is definitely up there. Video game, I don't know which one seems more plausible, show or video game. They both seem like super work intensive projects. So those are things that, like, if I do plan those out, it definitely is going to take a lot of I guess pre-production and making sure 100% that I'm like gonna be able to carry it out and do it to the best that I can. Right now, I'm in the planning phases. I haven't really talked about this that much, but I'm in the planning phases. I'm working on a book. I'm going to be putting out a book, or at least hoping to put out a book.
Congratulations on putting out a book. Is this your first book?
Well. See that I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant to announce things like that because I don't want to necessarily announce it, and then it's like, oh, congrats on the book, and it's like, well, I haven't made the book yet.
Yeah, it'll take maybe
I,
a year for us to read it. I'm sure.
yeah, it's probably going to take me a while. That's why I'm always hesitant to. And I think people should be never like put the sort of the carriage before, or the carriage before the horse before the carriage, whatever the phrase is. You don't want to like announce something and then like take the credit for it of people being like, wow, that's really cool that you're doing that, and then you're like, well, I got all the validation I needed, now I don't have to do it. you know but yeah, this is like the first like book project. It's probably going to be the biggest project that I've worked on thus far. So yeah, putting a lot of planning into it right now. I'm like just about to like start working on the art. It's probably going to take me I don't even know, being generous, maybe like half a year. I don't know. I'm hoping to collaborate with some other people. I have like a little document of people that I'd like to reach out to for it. But yeah, hopefully people will see that eventually.
I was wondering about books. Whenever they're out, how do they get set up to be an ebook? And can you choose the ebook to be read by like a robot?
You think ebooks are only made for robots?
I mean, sometimes.
That's why they're on their computer. They're for robots. That's why ebooks are made. I mean, there's avenues for getting books published in many different ways. I'm just probably going to be doing like a small run, and just getting them made.
Well, this one
I
is
guess.
also targeted about art, not just words, right?
Yeah, no, it's not going to be a super. It's gonna be like an art book. It's not going to be a super heady,
No.
nighttime reader or anything. It's going to be something that you flip through. And I guess a
I look
big,
forward to
yeah, I do too. It's really exciting. But I guess a big thing that kind of pushed me towards that is because I feel like I haven't really, or I guess I've been working up to getting my my art skills to a place where I'm comfortable enough to take on a big project like that. Because when you're posting stuff on Instagram, it's kind of one of those things where it pops up in someone's feed, and maybe they see it and they think it's cool, and then maybe they don't look at it again.
Yeah.
But with like a physical product, like a book, or if you make like a show or a video game or like an album or something, that's something that people are going to return to and think about a little bit more.
I definitely agree. I've wondered, have you ever done design or your own kind of zine thing?
Yeah, initially the book, I've tossed around a lot of different ideas for zines that I haven't really, that I never really went through with, just because I don't know, for whatever reason, it didn't seem like a good enough idea to carry out, and maybe I thought it would be more valuable just to grow my skills, just making individual pieces of art. Uh,
No doubt, no
but
doubt.
yeah, that this book did initially start as a zine, and then I kind of realized, or I guess maybe I found a resource where I could get it made into a book for relatively cheap. And I figured, why not just go all out? Because there are tons of zines out there, and that's not a dig against zines, but there's a lot of zines out there, and I'd like to maybe make something like substantial.
Dayton, I'll say something
That makes
though,
me sound like I'm
for
just nice,
Dayton,
but
they don't have the kind of scene that like a city has whenever you're going by like one of the little free library things where you're getting free books out of. Like typically
Mhm.
whenever you open up one of those bitches out in like Philly, New York, or Chicago, you're gonna be seeing like some actual fucking books in there, and you're going to be seeing
Yeah,
lots of like your own personal made zines, zine books, and like little pamphlets of like somebody's like collected share art. And you know, like, and they kind of like they don't really have that scene or vibe out here, which is something, you know, is kind of needed to be brought up. I feel like, because
yeah.
in the art kind of thing, there's some stuff I feel like shunned down around here.
Right. And
Do
yeah,
you
and
agree on that?
I love the sort of DIY culture around zines. It probably would make more sense and for me to make a zine before I make a book. But I guess I kind of just want to skip that step and and just make something really, really big and just go really super hard on it. Uh, but
You
yeah,
could,
zines are cool.
you could. This is just my own idea thrown out here. Once you know get it out there and it's for sale, I guess this is going to be the first time you're putting something out there for sale of yours, right?
I don't really sell things. I probably a huge missed opportunity on my part, but I don't know. I guess maybe I wasn't confident enough with my art enough to make something that I thought people should give me money for. Or maybe I just didn't think I had enough uh, following, I suppose, to make things and people would buy them.
Charge up
But
big
yeah,
from the
I'm gonna try to
start.
go super hard on the book and super hard on the promotion, uh, and hopefully that will get people excited. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I was gonna say,
I'm still in the pre-planning phase of it, so I'm planning out what I'm gonna do.
yeah, well then, you know, I'm always down for that release party. DJ or Spearnap, but also, like, I wanted to bring up the fact that in a zine, like once you know get your money, a little bit of money out of it, it's always really sweet to see the people that like take it and they just get paper copies just to give out to people for free, to that they know is gonna like keep it out, keep it around, keep it, or share it to somebody specific.
Yeah, I
Have you
mean,
thought about anything
ideally,
like that?
like making cheaper versions that are more readily available.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know because I am thinking of making it fairly lengthy, I guess, for a zine. Uh, like it's
Plenty
not going to be
book.
like super long, but I'm fingers crossed. I'm aiming for maybe like somewhere in the like 50 pages range. Uh, and I feel like that's probably a little thick for a zine. I'm definitely probably going to like post some of the stuff from it, just to share some of it. So there'll probably some of it on my Instagram or whatever. But I mean, ideally, I'd like people to see as much of my art as possible. I think most artists feel that way.
Have you thought about reaching out to the old Front Street art gallery on their like first of the month gigs?
That's a possibility. I've never really thought about reaching out to art galleries. Like I don't really like I guess I've kind of expressed. I feel like I don't really see myself in that sort of higher art scene. I kind of think of myself as like just like an internet artist.
I like to think
But I'm
that the art
sure.
galleries today are the lower art scenes and not high cred at all.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right about that. There's probably not as high of a bar as maybe in my head I'm thinking it is, but I don't know. I've just been sharing stuff
Not
on
to
the
shun
internet.
down any artists out there in galleries, but like, come on. I look at it as like the cool guys out there that are in your garage playing music, and then like those guys fucking shred, and then we got like some shitty band up on the stage playing like at a live arena that actually like are douches or really bad
Yeah,
at
and
it.
maybe that's part of it too. Maybe I see the gallery scene as being like I don't know, like less DIY or whatever. I don't know. Not that, I'm not really thinking about that stuff. It just doesn't pass my mind. Like gallery, like what if this was in a gallery? That doesn't really cross my mind.
Yes. Whenever I was having that conversation with Gary Wilson, shout out about
Shout out Gary Wilson.
yeah, he mentioned how he had these art inspirations and like now got the opportunity to and never saw himself like getting the opportunity or being the like one of the ones to actually like have stuff up in an art gallery up in New York or like actually go and do something that was like weird and different for what I guess is more standard or what we look at um
Hmm.
as a typical gallery to have there. So like it's true. Once you find good art and it's placed well, the appreciation goes a long way. Especially whenever we're talking about local first.
Yeah, I
Once you
don't
make that
really,
imprint, it helps.
I don't feel like I'm super in touch with the local art scene, I suppose. I don't know. I don't really know. Like there's definitely, visual artists in the Dayton area. I just don't know like what that looks like. I don't know what the vibe is there. I don't necessarily live in Dayton. I live
That's right.
like in the middle of nowhere. So I that's also probably part of why I'm kind of more of a internet minded guy because I'm kind of far away from people. I'm isolated. I'm just on the internet.
I feel the same way about the old Spirit Navigator stuff right now. Personally, I'm just like, oh well, it's more like it feels like I'm in like COVID, like lockup times, like again, just out of the fact like I do most of these interviews at my apartment, and like majority of the time I'm like spending the records home and chilling. So it's
Yeah.
like more of a pandemic feel, I guess, in some degree even though a lot of YouTubers out there just doing it in their backyard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more inspired by people like on the internet anyway than I
Yeah,
guess I don't know than
exactly.
anything else. I
You gotta know where to look
find
and
my,
where to find.
yeah, I think of the people that I follow on Instagram as my like contemporaries or whatever, my colleagues.
That's true too. I still consider you a great colleague.
You too, Spirit Navigators. We're certified colleagues.
Certified collaborators. I would say that's a blue check mark.
Yeah, we should have two blue check marks next to our name, and they say colleagues. And then,
I have like commented to Instagram. I've messaged them. I've complained. I've emailed about me getting the blue check mark because we have other spirit navigators out there on the internet. That's a
you have Spirit
tarot.
Navigators and impersonators.
Yeah, totally. And I've like messaged the impersonators, and I'm like, bro, you guys totally looked up spirit navigators, seen that I was the only one, and why are you here now? Because I remember whenever you looked it up on Instagram, I was the only fucking one.
I would love to see a blue check mark on that Spirit Navigators account. That would mean a lot to me to see that.
It would mean a lot to me because I like to like have others know that I'm not the tarot reading account. I'm not the other random one that's like Doctor Spirit Navigator bullshit. Like,
Yeah,
I'm. It just would make it more sense that they know like this one is the cool one that like does
yeah,
art and
that's the
other
cool one. You
stuff.
can't you
Uh,
can't you can't replicate the vibe osmosis.
Yeah, so that's another one I need to definitely reach out about, and I maybe even have to do some trademarking or copywriting. For your book, does the trademark copyright just happen immediately once it's out? How does that work?
I don't know. The way I'm planning on doing it, um, I'm basically gonna the way that I was looking through doing it is through a site where it's basically like just completely like I guess as like low key as you could possibly do it. It's basically a print on demand type thing. Uh, I looked into doing it through like smaller scale print shops or even local print shops, but it's just hard to find people that make like actual like perfect bound books uh, at low quantities that aren't like insanely expensive. A lot of the places that I was looking through getting it done through, it was going to cost like $15 per book, and for like a 50-page book, that's not realistic because I'd have to sell it for like $30 or something, and that's a little absurd.
I like to think about this. Whenever I have the money and it's my artwork, I don't mind spending all of my money for the stuff. And then I'm like, oh, you give it away for free. And then at the
Yeah,
end, I'm like, yeah, I guess I probably
I
should have
mean,
wanted some money.
spending your money on art is definitely money well spent. Uh, but I don't know. I don't want to shake people down for for uh for $30 for a little book.
Out of the random collection of CDs that I left out there in Chicago from that show, I've had maybe two people actually like engage from me from finding the weird random shit, and
Oh, really?
I
People found your like CDRs that you left and
oh
they reached
yeah,
out.
I left them up at the I left them at every record shop we went to basically.
Yeah, I mean that's how me and Fred found out about you was through you leaving the CDRs.
Freebies,
So
man, freebies.
yeah, so clearly it's a good promotion method if you're making music. Just leave CDRs places and scribble on them with marker and do paper collages or whatever.
Well, now I realize I just got to get smart about it and get like the cards that have like a QR code or something where you could just find
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Just
A
because,
little less mysterious, but I suppose that is a better means because yeah.
yeah, or like I guess I'm making like an investment on like 120 of my own CDs and DVDs that I'll pass out for free, and then also have like my
hmm
my free little cards. That would just like be the extension of that. But then once you're out of the card and you meet somebody and you're like, oh shit, let me give you my card, and you don't got it because you gave them all out for free, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Music promotion is hard. I mean, it's definitely I don't make music, so it's not my realm. But I don't know. I feel like if you made music videos are like one of the best methods of promotion. So many people
I
uh,
agree.
only listen to music through YouTube and or like only listen to music if it has like a music video or something like that.
If we're talking about music videos, I made two new music videos for my friend's band Job for Alcove Dream, and he just put a
Yes,
record
I'll
out.
cover that.
Yeah, he just put a record out on Christmas, and like he sent me the music like forever ago, and like we basically talked about doing the visuals and stuff for it forever ago, and it took me little spurts of moment of inspiration to like get it done. But anyway, I finally have two of the music videos done, and they will be coming out. We'll see somewhat soon. They are kind of inspired by the AI GIF maker slash
Okay.
like I just basically went through different AIs and like found a bunch of keywords that he was tagging in on and like vibing with for his tracks, and I was just kind of trying to set the scene and also like add in my own art bits and my own little stuff. I think like the music on this record is one of those things where like, oh, I can play that and work on like my art and also like other stuff. You know what I mean?
You talking
Um,
about the Alcove Dream record?
yeah, yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
it's one of those ones where I was able to just kind of sit down and also like just like not focus on too much and just like work creatively. You know?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know that you guys were collaborating on that. That's cool. It's
Yeah,
always
it's
good
secret.
to. Oh well, hey, I won't tell anyone then.
Yeah, secret drop, everybody.
It's always cool to have other artists that have your back, and you can collaborate on things. You always got to find the people that fuck with you, and then you just got to fuck with them even harder.
Yeah, in this case, I mean, we happened to find the Alcove and Straight Navigator collaboration. That all became together only through the internet. That was no finding like a physical CD or check out your music. That was all
Yeah,
through like a simple, like I guess the algorithm. Have
yeah,
you
and that's why. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
came across other artists like that where you came across specifically only through internet?
Um, there's like a million artists. I mean, I could go through my followers here. I feel like there's a lot of artists that I'm like mutuals with that I really like. I mean, Umbershkalump's a big one. Or I guess it's two guys.
Yeah,
They're from Ohio. They also do 3D art.
yeah.
But
How did that
that's
happen?
how did I meet them, or how
Yeah,
do I know them?
yeah.
Through the Mucoid stuff, because they did the UFO album cover. I had known of them um, before they did the UFO album cover. But I suppose it all just kind of clicked together when they just started doing the Mucoid stuff, and then Fred and I did the floor jazz Mucoid release. So I guess that was sort of the connection there. But I like their art quite a lot. They're kind of doing a similar thing to me with the 3D art.
How did they come across the blue egg?
What's the origin of Blue Egg?
Yeah, even though I have reached out to Blue Egg may join Vibe Osmosis. Just your own take when you're coming across that.
Yeah, I mean, Blue Egg, as far as I understand, not to, I guess, maybe take away the mystique from it, but I mean, I don't feel like I have any sort of insider knowledge on it. I know on their Immersive page, they did that Blue Egg OS poster or whatever, where it was like it was like a Sonic the Hedgehog thing, and it was like done in the style of like some sort of like 90s computer operating system or program. And I guess that was the where that spurred from. I guess they just fell in love with that character, and now it's its own thing. Now it's completely independent and free thinking.
I was wondering, do you think that you'll watch the new Avatar movie?
I've considered it. I don't really like the original Avatar, um, but I also haven't seen it since I was like a child when it came out. I do think there is something to watching super high budget movies that have a lot of work put into the special effects. Um, I feel like Avatar 2, I probably wouldn't get a whole lot out of the story, but I feel like I maybe would get something out of just seeing cool effects for like 3 hours or whatever. That's kind of how I felt about those like Star Wars reboot movies.
The
Uh,
Star Wars
I kind
reboot,
of
I feel like I had more hope and inspiration for them to be better than what they
Yeah.
turned out to be, but
I feel like the bar for Star Wars was kind of lowered a long time ago. And I'm just kind of like satisfied to see like a cool graphic of like a spaceship blow some stuff up, I guess. I knew that the story wasn't gonna like blow my mind or like draw tears out of me or anything. So
I'm still
I
invested in
I
Star Wars.
I kind of thoroughly was moderately entertained by those those reboot movies, even the really, really stupid last one.
Yeah, not to bang on Star Wars. All right, so before we end up the show with before we end the show, I want to bring up some other things.
Hmm.
Besides of the music that you chose as like your top 10, like did you have artists or musicians that like are your forever, like you always listen and go back, or your first loves or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like lifetime artists, I feel like my taste is maybe like, the artists that you listen to for your whole life and are like super impactful and build off of whatever you're gonna like going forward. I feel like they're usually kind of like those building block artists. I mean, I really liked like the Beatles as a kid, so that's like an artist I've listened to, or I guess a band that I've listened to like my entire life. I know it's kind of like a basic pick, and people like to knock on the Beatles, but the Beatles are one of those. Velvet Underground are another one. I feel like they're like kind of like one of the first alternative bands. I think they're really good.
Did
Um,
you watch the Beatles documentary on Apple or
Get
Disney?
Yeah, I didn't watch all of the Get Back thing. I watched the first episode. It was really cool. I thought the like smoothing thing they did was kind of weird.
First
I don't know if
episode
you
is
caught that.
great, but you really missed out if you haven't watched all of it.
Yeah, I just it's hard for me to sit down and
I
like
watched hours
'cause
of
I always want to be
documentation of
like
them repeating the same damn song and fighting and bickering and also like somewhat having pretentious times on camera.
yeah, I mean yeah, what I saw was really cool. But yeah, it's hard for me to get like sit down and watch something because I like to multitask a lot. I really like
I loved
I,
that
I
movie
really
though.
like sorry, I'm looking at my record collection here. I mean, I like the Flaming Lips. Flaming Lips are cool. King Crimson's cool.
How long have you been listening to records?
Um, I've been collecting records probably like 5 or 6 years. I've probably got like somewhere around 600 records.
Do you think it was 5 or 6 years ago whenever you got your first record player?
Yeah, it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago when I got my first record player and got my first records.
My before the Gary Wilson thing, my record player just broke out on me. It was actually I guess my girlfriend's, and I like had knocked it one day, and like it
Oh no.
never worked the same.
You
Um,
gotta you gotta get a gotta get a new turntable. You need to have a turntable.
yeah,
Everyone needs a turntable.
I've gone through two in like a small period of time, like 2 years now. It's like so the first one was mine that I broke, and then now I broke hers. So I'm on the move to getting one of those double turntables where we play two records at the same time if you wanted to.
Oh, so you're trying to get like a DJ set up?
Yeah, trying to switch it up
Yeah,
for
get
Vibe
like
Osmosis.
just get like two Audio Technica LP 120s if you're trying to
Yeah,
do that.
they got it going on. So a little bit pricey if I go for something newer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, with like audio equipment, sometimes you just gotta like bite the bullet and do it.
Been biting the bullet my whole life with this audio stuff. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
I was just thinking.
yeah.
I was just thinking for real. I once had like the Korg Beat Machine, two of the same type of Korg synthesizers, the K oscillator with another K oscillator with the mini K oscillator, like the red sound, like just like gear on gear on gear, the effects processing for your vocals, and then like pedals on top of that with mixers. Like I used to have an incredibly insane setup for just one person.
Yeah.
Even one thing to mention was like I had the Korg Electribe and just like had the Korg Electribes. I remember whenever I used to set up, I used to have like two whole tables, like those kind of party tables, two whole tables of just music gear, all turned on. Just like,
Yeah.
oh know, just one of those things where you're like, I used to get into that experimental mode. Like, all right, at this point, you're
Yeah,
probably
I
like,
mean, you can really definitely get into the weeds with the gear.
I was just thinking, have you ever like had an interest in playing music, or did you ever go through it?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've like picked up like never like super seriously, more as like a just like learning a new skill type of thing. Like I've never made like a song or anything, but uh, like I've picked up like Ableton and like FL Studio a number of times or whatever, and learned the basics or whatever. I have a synthesizer. I don't really know how to use it, but I have the Behringer TD3, that like analog bass
The
synth,
Tweak Master, man.
the Tweak Master, and then I have the like Korg Volca sample thing too. That's the two gear related things I have that I have no idea how to use. I just sort of have them.
Before we, I guess, any last things that you'd like to add before we close up for the night?
Um,
Any advice?
people, any advice? I don't have any advice. I don't have any advice. I'm figuring things out myself. Uh, but if I were to tell people to do one thing, I would say listen to Crypto Terrestrial Tour and go to. Hold up, let me get the website right. Uh, it's like Floor Jazz Beverage Company .bigcartel.com, something like that. Go to
Shout
Floor
out.
Jazz Beverage Company. Go to RatLips on Instagram. Sniff some glue before you do it.
And maybe have some fleas while you can. For real, thank you for taking the time to join Vibe Osmosis, and
Thank you.
it's been a good time talking, and I hope we also
Thank you so
follow up
much.
whenever this book comes out too.
For sure. I'm honored to be guest worthy and to participate in Vibe Osmosis. Thank you so much.
Hey, and you have a good rest of your day.
You too. I'll see you.
Thank you.